Thank you all for attending this wonderful screening of Ajooma, the New York premiere. My name is Grace Jung. I am tonight's moderator, and it's my great pleasure to introduce Shuming Hye. So I'm a Korean media studies scholar, and watching a film like this it gives me so much pleasure because I'm seeing it from so many angles. It's a Korean title, Ajooma, but it's a Singaporean middle-aged woman. And it's set in Korea, but it's seen through the lens of a Singaporean middle-aged Ajooma. And so there's this really lovely transnational Asian subjectivity that's taking place that's really fascinating. And I gotta say, we have to talk about this lead actress, HONG Huifang. She's amazing. Amazing. And I didn't know this, but she's a TV actress in Singapore. Yes, so she does like dramas in Singapore, and now she's playing an Ajooma who's obsessed with K-dramas, but in her first lead role in a feature film, and just killing it now. So tell me how you got to cast this amazing lead.
So HONG Huifang is she's an actress that I grew up watching on television. I have a lot of respect for her. And then she was fielded as an option that I could cast, and then I met her for not an audition, but we just met to have coffee. And at first I was kind of sure that I don't think she's right for the role, because the image I had of her was that she's this very polished actress. And she came in with no makeup, big glasses and her pajamas.
Like an Ajooma.
Yeah, like an Ajooma. In Singapore we call them aunties. And she just kind of was her, and I was like, oh my god, like my image of you as an actress, as this woman that I grew up watching, is not what it is. And you're right for the role. Yeah. And she was. But she's so used to television acting, which is very different. It's a very different medium. So I said, we have to go watch films. And I have to remind her that when you are acting for cinema, the screen is huge. So every time when you blink, it's gonna be like. So a lot of your performance, you have to really rethink or internalize a lot of these emotions, a lot of subtext. Right? We spent time working on it, and I remember I told her that we should go watch a film.
Which film?
The first film we watched together. Anyone from Singapore here? We went to watch at Projector, which is an amazing independent cinema. We went to watch Nomadland with Frances McDormand, and it's a woman about a middle-aged woman on a road trip. So and that was our starting point with our workshop that lasted for about 2 years.
I love it. Yeah. She's astounding. And I really loved the cameo side parallel with the K-drama with YEO Jin-goo in it. And I mean, if you guys are up to date with K-dramas, he's your boy. Like, he is the man. His face is everywhere.
I read that he was, you in Korea they would dub him as Korea's son. Because he grew up, he's a child actor. And now he's an idol.
Yes. Moon Embracing the Sun, anybody? Oh my God, such a good K-drama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's so nice to work with. And I feel like I tricked him into being in this movie because he was with Mr. JUNG Dong-hwan, who played the security guard in the drama.
What an honor. It's a good movie.
Yeah, and he thought they were going to have scenes together, but actually they don't. So he came on set. I don't know if he read. He just read his sides.
Gotcha.
I don't think he read the script. Yeah. And then he was like, "Oh, is Mr. Jung here?" I'm like, "You don't have any scenes with him." But like,
he was here.
He was here.
He sat in that chair.
He sent his regards. But yeah, they're so fun to work with.
Yeah, speaking of which, Jung Dong-hwan, what a veteran actor he is. I mean, he's in like all the K-dramas that have leukemia and dying people. He's the guy. Yeah, Winter Sonata, anybody? Like, amazing. And such a veteran actor. Like, he's not like one of these like K-pop stars who had like 4 acting coaching sessions. No, he's
No
done
manager,
theater,
no manager.
like no manager. He is like an actor through and through. Tell me what it was like working with this veteran.
When we met, and then this is something maybe it's quite culturally specific, is that I'm not Korean, by the way. But my producers would tell me like, okay, when Mr. Jung comes for his first wardrobe fitting, it's the first time you'll meet him. You have to learn Korean. You have to say a few lines. You introduce yourself in Korean. Wow. It's like all the other actors, you don't tell me to speak Korean, but with Mr. Jung, I have to. Like, yeah, because he's older. Like, okay. And then we talked about the role. We talked about his training. No, his huge list of credentials in acting. And then he said, I went to Singapore for a production of Lady Macbeth, an all-Korean production of Lady Macbeth. And I said, oh my God, I saw that, because it's not a lot of Korean production of a play. And I remember I was maybe 21, watched it, and I said, I remember seeing that. I still probably have the program somewhere. And I think that's when he was like, oh, we have some sort of a fate.
Yeah.
That we're working together, and he's great. And every time when I go back to Seoul and he's in a performance, he's theatrically trained. Again, no managers, no entourage. He brought so much to the character that I'm so appreciative of.
He really did. I mean, he's like, when I was watching this movie, I was like, all right, it's like this indie art house thing, let's check it out. But then when I started seeing what a star-studded film this was, I was like, holy cow, okay, you have my attention. Amazing, really fantastic actors. And I'm just going off of like what I know from my K-drama world. And KANG Hyoung-suk, okay, like, has anybody seen Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha? Oh my God, yeah, he plays the side piece, right? Like the naive cop, right? Yeah. Okay, when I was watching this film, I'm like, he's very underrated. Like, he deserves bigger roles, because, I mean, he brings it, like so many balls to juggle in the air. He's a father, his marriage is falling apart, he's trying to do this thing, he's screwing up.
So the script, when I wrote the script in mind, the role of the tour guide was written as someone who is unkempt. He's, this guy who is out of luck and has, facial hair, and just not KANG Hyoung-suk.
Yeah.
Because when he
not
came
as
in,
pretty.
yeah, and I needed someone who can speak Mandarin, which is not easy to find a Korean actor who can speak Mandarin. And we didn't have time to cast a Korean actor and be like, hey, go learn some Mandarin in 2 months.
Right.
And I don't want that. So Kang was suggested to us, and he lived in Qingdao for I think 3-4 years. Wow. So he learned he know a little bit of Mandarin. Wow. But then when I met him, I'm like, dude, you're too good looking. Like you have not one facial hair on your face. You are I can't stop staring at your skin, your hair, and so then we got to pivot. We got to think about how to make that part of your character. So we make the character someone who is, probably very charming, very charismatic, have managed to get through troubles and because of his, looks or whatever it is. But at some point that has to end, But I remember telling him during our rehearsal, we had about a month and a half before we went to shoot. And I said, can you just not shave for like a month? And then he would come in, and this was kind of towards the end of COVID, so everyone's wearing masks. But he would come and ashamed to show his face. And he was like, it's like 4 strands of hair. it's like, Kang-dong-nim, that's it. And I was like, you know what? And the makeup artist was like, I can't stand looking at your face. He's got to shave that off. which worked.
When the
worked
beard
out.
doesn't work, it doesn't work. So yeah, but yeah, I really love this casting. So thank you. We're gonna take a couple questions. We have 10 minutes and we have a hard out. So we'll take a couple of questions from the audience for Director Shuming. Anybody? Yes.
Hi, just curious how much of this was inspired by your own personal life story, I guess, because I literally just saw my mom there on TV. That's my mom. Like the hairstyle, the coat, you know, the good, terrible driving. That's exactly who my mom is. So
Really, your mom is.
well, yeah, pretty much, and Korean drama obsession, obviously. So yeah, just curious how much of that was.
So when I lived in LA for a few years to do grad school, and then during that time, this was like 2012, before FaceTime, it was Skype. Remember Skype? And we would Skype, and then we would leave our Skype on, and then I'll do my whatever, and then she would do her housework, and we would just hang out, yeah. And she would talk about she would have very specific stories about that. I thought she was talking maybe about gossiping about a neighbor or whatever, but then I realized she was recapping Korean drama. So there was a lot of, so I think that really got me thinking about our relationship as mother and son. She's sort of, at this point in her life where she's trying to figure out what she wants to do, and then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, and then there is that line of that. But it's also personal in the sense of, we had conversations about this, about coming out. So that was a very difficult scene to write. And I think the nuance of coming out in a very Singaporean, a very Asian context, I think it's quite different when you think, oh, it means I have to come out and say, hey mom, by the way, blah, 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 I'm gay. I go beyond that. I make it into a film, and there's nothing gayer than this, and so it was really just trying to put that, I guess, putting things where I can't say it in front of or I can't say it to my mom. Things I want to say, I put it on the film. I think through that, I think that's as a filmmaker, I have a way. It's a privilege to put that into a film. Yeah.
Yeah, back there, the white shirt. Yeah.
Hi, I noticed that much of the film was not in Singapore. So what makes this film Singaporean and therefore a good entry for the Academy Awards?
A few things. I'm Singaporean. We also have money from Singapore Film Commission, and they picked it. So no, but it's film. The film started in. I mean, I'm Singaporean, so I think that's really the criteria. Well, actually, that's not really the criteria. I don't know what the criteria is. I think it was picked by the Singapore Film Commission. Every year, the Singaporean films that possibly has funding from the governing body, or that would determine the Singaporean film. But it's interesting because I think as a Singaporean filmmaker or filmmaker of Singaporean descent, to tell a film that is about a Singaporean auntie, the presence, even though it's on Korean soil, is so prominent. And I really wanted her to, there's certain things where I'm like, I really wanted her to have these nuances in the way she speak. Thank you. It's like something I really want her to like keep it in there and play with all of these nuances that is so distinctively Singaporean that it transcends being on Singaporean soil, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. The rule is like if that country enters that film, then that's the one. Yeah, it's like they all decide. It's one movie per country. So if that's
sometimes
the one,
it's a bit strange because I've seen there are other countries' entries that are like, it's not French.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah. But the one thing I loved about this film so much, like just from like a feminist standpoint or just like from like being a woman, is the middle-aged woman's joy, you know, because like in the beginning you can kind of feel her loneliness, like eating alone, watching TV while she's eating, or, you know, like hanging out with her girlfriends and like just craving some kind of companionship. And television is that for all of us today. All of you guys are on your phones every time you eat by yourself, every time you're on your toilet by yourself. You never want to be alone. And so TV is right there with you. And
It's an escape. Yeah.
It's an escape, but it's also companionship, you know? We have this weird relationship with technology today that is giving us this affective fill. And all of us are experiencing what she's experiencing. And I loved how she's like imagining the reality of like YEO Jin-goo's K-drama narrative, like the parallel happening with her and her own projection for like her longing for her son. And like after that conversation that she has with her boy, who's like, you know, this is the truth, and then she kind of can't deal with it, but it's like, how does she deal with it in her imaginary with her K-drama boy? And so I guess my question is like, I mean, to what extent is this film like a queer Asian film for you?
Well, that's a hard one. I think beyond me as a queer filmmaker, but I think there are a lot of sensibilities that could be inherently queer, maybe. Besides the coming out, that's a very obvious plot point, but I think there was a lot of inserting a lot of the, I guess, the celebration of femininity that we talk about, that I wanted to, that I was very sensitive about. And I think even working with HONG Huifang on this, where I wanted her to think of the role that she's inhabiting, even just beyond her. I think it was attaching the idea of the mother, and with my wardrobe, with my makeup artist, with my cinematographer, all of these people, and my brief to them was, every decision that you make for the film, think about what would your mom do, or what would your mom, you know, what would she decide? Everything comes from that space and come from that entry point. And for HONG Huifang as well, I mean, she obviously took on, you know, she has to build this character, and I didn't want her to be like, oh, it's my mom. It's not about my mom. My mom has elements of that, but it is, so she attached, you know, herself as a mother, as a daughter, she attached people she knows, all of these things that built this woman as who she is. And I think that's the only way to kind of honor that and do that.
Like, I love the Ajooma, like, middle-aged woman's joy, too. Like, especially that scene when she's, like, with the snow. And we were talking about it a little bit, but you were like, yeah, like, Singapore, we don't have snow, you know?
We have one season, that's it.
There's a little bit of snow. But, like, she's, like, out there with the snowflakes, and she's just, like, becomes a little girl, you know? Like, she transforms from an Ajooma to, like, a free spirit. And it was, like, such a beautiful scene. Yeah, I love that.
I still think about the first time I saw snow. Every time I see snow, and coming from Singapore, it's such a. It takes me. I get so excited when I see snow, because we don't see it, you know. So, and I wanted that for her. And recently, my mom was telling me that she's never seen snow falling before. So it's one of her goals is to experience that. So I think it would be. I think in my mind, I think she imagined it would be like this Ajooma.
Take her to Aspen or something. Yeah. You guys, thank you so much for coming to this wonderful screening. Give it up for Shuming Hae one more time. Give it up for the Korean Cultural Center. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Shuming and Grace, for a really engaging conversation. If you would just give me a minute of your time, I will let you go on your way very, very quickly. Feel free to sit or be anywhere else if you like. We just want to say, how grateful we are to both Shuming and Grace for actually being with us here tonight. Tomorrow, of course, which is the second day of the festival, Grace is going to be on a panel as a panelist on the multilingual approaches to making art, and Shuming will be on another panel on film editing as a form of writing. I just want to tell everybody that the Singapore Literature Festival is brought to you by Singapore Unbound, a New York City-based transnational literary organization that envisions and works for a creative and fulfilling life for everyone. Singapore Unbound organizes events such as this one and also a monthly reading series. We also publish books through our independent press called Gaudy Boy and a literary journal called Suspect. So please look us up, check the work that we do. And we are able to keep all our events free because of generous donors such as yourselves who care about literature and cultural exchange. We do not accept any direct funding from any government in order to remain free and autonomous. So if you have enjoyed and benefited from today's program, please consider making a donation by using the QR code on the screen right now. Singapore Unbound is powered by passionate volunteers. Every one of us is a volunteer, so your donation goes directly to supporting artists and programs such as this one. Tomorrow is the second day and the final day of the festival. It features exciting panel discussions on multiple topics, and the festival closes with a stage reading of a new chamber opera called Sisters of the Storm. So please RSVP and join us tomorrow at the Asian American Writers Workshop. We will not be here. All right, we'll be at the Asian American Writers Workshop for the second and final day of the festival. Thank you again so much for being with us tonight.